Well, welcome to the Sail Power Steam Museum, South Rockland's finest and newest maritime museum. We've only been here 10 years, you know. I flunked retirement 10 years ago and we got this building and we built it into a beautiful maritime museum. My career was in great big sailing vessels, these big American schooners along the coast of Maine, ragged coast of Maine here, with beautiful Penobscot Bay. What a wonderful place to sail these kind of big vessels like that one behind me. That was the old schooner Adventure. We carried passengers, what a time. Back in the 19th century is what this museum's all about. Our thrust here at the museum are the sailing vessels, the big schooners of the 19th century. Rockland, back in that period of time, was a powerhouse of economic activity. 1891, 1892, 1893 and counting, Rockland was the fourth largest seaport in the United States. New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and Rockland, Maine. You wouldn't believe it. And the hub of that whole aura in those days was the old Snow Shipyard. Right here on these hallowed grounds was the old Snow Shipyard. All of these great big sailing vessels coming in and out of the harbor back at that time, over 8,000 steamers and sailing vessels in 1893 alone. Amazing, amazing. The activity here in Rockland Harbor was incredible. We decided we would put all this together. My wife and I, Meg and I, decided we would have this beautiful museum and leave something to posterity here when we go over the bar. So, we've got a lot to see. Follow me. We're going to take a look at all the wonderful memorabilia of the 19th century, the early 19th century, late 19th century. You'll see. Come along. So there, just to prove it, in 1898, Rockland was the fourth largest seaport in the United States, and look at all these sailing vessels, one after another, loaded to their decks with cargo to deliver all over the world. Here they got a fair breeze of wind and a fair chance to sail along, and they're all getting underway at the same time. And now look at our incredible schooner, two-masted schooner planted right in the front yard, a frontispiece for the museum, 65 feet long. She's built of ferro cement, but look at her lines. Isn't she a pretty little thing? What a glorious thing for a learning tool. And check out our steamboat. Look at the craftsmanship in putting all the woodwork into this little launch. Stern paddle wheel, she's got a 10-key calliope and steam right on her mast. Well, as you come in the museum, look to the left. This is the United States, the frigate. George Washington back in the 1700s decided we needed a navy, so he built 6 identical frigates, the Constitution, the United States, the Constellation, and 3 others. This model is magnificently rigged down from the very 9s. Imagine the rigging, the time that it took in order to put this rigging together. What an incredible model. Well, take a little time now and inspect all of these models on the wall here. These were all built in 10 years by one man. He built 25 models. They're all radio controlled. They all have motors in them. These are not kit boats. These are built from scratch, commercial boats. Amazing array. What is a Foucault pendulum? Well, it's a phenomenon. Leon Foucault, 1851, discovered in Paris this great big pendulum on a 100-foot wire was going back and forth, and it was clocking off to the eastward at a regular rate. What would have caused that? Well, not to be outdone by Leon Foucault, we set up our own pendulum, the dominating feature right here in the middle of our atrium. A 285-pound piece of lead swinging back and forth on a 40-foot wire created a Foucault pendulum, a pendulum that answers to outer space. It answers to the sidereal. It doesn't answer to what goes on the Earth. The Earth is turning on its axis, going around the sun, doing all these different things, and our pendulum is going back and forth towards the North Star unceasingly. It's amazing phenomena. In order to do this, in order to realize that this is going to clock off to the eastward, because of the Earth's movement, we set up pins, 4 pins together at 1 degree apart. 1 degree apart on our compass rose on the floor. There's our pendulum, 285 pounds of solid lead, a heavy, heavy thing on this great long wire. And there we're going to start it. 1 click and away she goes, back and forth. A mesmerizing kind of thing, going back and forth and
quietly moving ahead each time. Every 6 minutes it's going to move another degree on this one long 40-foot wire that goes way up into the tower that we have in the top of the building. Back and forth it goes, back and forth, and we're trying to realize when it's going to knock down the first pin. Oh, there, did you see it? Just ticked that first pin. It's going to knock it down on this swing. Every 6 minutes, there goes the first pin down. Now we have to wait another 6 minutes before it will knock the next pin down. Pin number 2, coming right up here. Pin number 2 is going to be knocked down, and there it goes. So we've moved ahead 2 degrees so far, and that's 12 minutes. There, it just ticked the edge of another one, and bang, there goes number 2 again. So there goes number 3. Another 6 minutes have gone by. Now, 24 minutes later, we'll be finally knocking down the last pin. The last pin, showing that the Earth, no matter how we treat it, is still going around on its axis. So now you can see our pendulum has moved about 5 degrees off to the eastward, 5 degrees to the east of north in the last 24 minutes. You can almost set your clock by it. Galileo was the first to discover the proper usage of a pendulum and what it can do, especially in keeping time. Leon Foucault understood quite a lot about the Earth and its movement on its axis. All the big museums, the Smithsonian and so on, have Foucault pendulums, but this is the only one in the state of Maine. Well, take a quick look on the turntable here. This is the Jo Lane. She's an 1850s revenue cutter. Fascinating vessel. Well, let's go in through the grand archway here into the very heart of the museum, the grand foyer. We'll get ready for our next tour, which is tour number 2, coming right up just as soon as we go past the sign-in desk and the donation bucket. Thank you very much.